21, I got this brainstorm that we should go to Mexico and see if we can buy some pot cheap. So I bought this old clunker for car for $100, and your mother and I and this friend of mine and his girlfriend hopped in the car and drove
Maine, right?
in Maine,
Yeah.
and drove to Mexico, to Culiacan, Mexico, where we met these two Mexican people that happened to have some pot that we could buy. And so we hop in the car and we get some cheap pot.
Yeah.
And it was near Christmas time, so it was all wrapped in red wrapping paper, red and green. Their little joke, I guess. And we get up to about 50 miles from the border, and the car broke down. And there again, it was hot again, especially for us, so I stripped down to my skivvies, which I thought, they weren't regular looking skivvies, they weren't boxer shorts, but they were kind of long, and they looked like a pair of shorts could have looked, except for the outlet. And the cops came along, happened to see us there, broken down on the side of the road.
In your underwear.
In my underwear. And said, what's going on? And we just said, well, the car broke down. And they says, well, what you got in your trunk? And of course I said, geez, I don't know. We don't have a key for that. And he said, well, how come that plastic bag is sticking out there? And I said, that was like that all the way from Maine. And he says, well, why don't we haul your car down to my place and see if we can. And he pulled out a gun and pointed it at my head and said, where's what you had in the trunk? I said, it's over there in that car. And he said, thank you very much. Now, if you guys want some freedom, or your freedom back, then I want $1,500. And I'm keeping your car and your pot and everything else that you got here. So you better wire someone to get some money. So I wired my brother in Maine. It took 2 days. They took us from that compound, put us in a motel with an armed guard, leaned up against the door in a chair with a sombrero, bandoleros of bullets, and a shotgun outside our door while we waited. Not try to run off and get shot, because we didn't know where we were going anyway. And so finally the money came, and he had to give us a ride to the border. And just before the border there is a check, kind of like a toll booth,
Right.
where they check for fruit, supposedly, but they check for anything that contraband or whatever. So he said, as I was sitting in the passenger side, and your mother was sitting in the back seat, he handed me his hat, his cop hat, and said, everybody else duck down. And he put his flashing lights on, the siren, and sped through the border check with me sitting next to him as a cop. His compadre. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kept me centered.
Centered how?
I had to focus on life and taking care of you guys.
Yeah.
I couldn't just go and party and think about just me. I had someone else in my life to think about and consider, which I believe is pretty important, because I think people get caught up with themselves and they don't relate well to the rest of the world.
Or the children.
It's a balance, I think,
You hope.
that people need to have, I believe. Not saying you can't gain that balance without children,
Yeah.
but I think it helped. We had a farm, and I moved back from Canada into North Berwick, where we had a hand pump for water and no electricity. Down a dirt road, and it was a nice place for you guys to be.
Yeah.
We were happy there for a while, and I think the fact that we got married too young turned around on us, and which resulted in separation and ultimately a divorce in 1980. And that's when we started the road trip. It's unimportant for you guys to be going to school when you could have a real life's experience, and I had some money where we sold the house and split the proceeds, your mother and I, and I didn't know that I'd have any money to do that again, so I felt that we should take a ride. Went cross country. I had a Suburban, and so we slept in the Suburban, and ate in the Suburban and played games in the Suburban, and saw the country. Yeah, the Redwood Forest was a unique experience in that when we got there it was night, and it was snowing, great big snowflakes, size of, I don't know, tennis balls or something. They're huge snowflakes, and I couldn't see much, but these butts of trees. But in the morning when we got up, we were in this cathedral of trees. They were towering hundreds of feet overhead. It was just, I'd never seen anything like it. The neatest places we stayed was out in a wash with the silhouette of the mountains in the background, with a tree overhanging the campsite in the sand that we had. Yeah, I don't remember your mom getting arrested. I just remember her telling me that she was arrested, and
We were
she
in
was
the car
going.
with her. We were in the back seat.
You were in the car with her.
Yeah.
And I guess she got mouthy with the cop, and so when she went to court, I just happened to show up there, and I met the cop as he was coming out of the courthouse, and I says, "Oh, you think you're kind of tough guy, huh?" I says, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size, like me?"
What did he say to that?
And he didn't say anything to that. The cops that were with him says, "Come on, let's go get some lunch." I never had any trouble with those.
What were some of your hardest moments?
Hardest moments?
Yeah. Most challenging.
When your mother and I split up, it was pretty hard. That hurt a lot. Living without electricity and running water. Almost seems that it was always an adventure. It was, I want to say, not Maine versus wild, but something like that. All the time, just kind of. It's not like living in the luxury that I live today. Everything's at fingertips today. When we were out on the farm there, it was, if the wind blew and it snowed deep, we weren't going anywhere. We couldn't get anywhere. We could be there for days. So it was a challenge. Life is a challenge.
Being born again.